Welcome to another episode of the Online Prosperity Experience podcast. You're about to hear your host, Prosper Taravinga's powerful digital marketing strategies and actionable tactics that you can use right now. Prosper has helped more than 50,000 people from over 10 countries to create meaningful businesses that are profitable and enjoyable. Listen to this podcast so that you too can build your own business with less stress and overwhelm. Let's get started.
How to embrace change as a coach, consultant, or small to medium business. And I can acknowledge that right now, nothing seems stable in the way that we are showing up in the world and in the way that the world is showing up to us. But I'm here to tell you, my Internet Explorer, that change is inevitable, okay? But it's not actually just about the change itself, but rather what you do with that change that actually impacts you. So I'm going to be giving you 4 tips for you to actually help you to accept and embrace change as a business owner, and for you to actually start noticing change as a wonderful opportunity for you to experience something new and grow and evolve as a person. And I mean, unless you've been living under a rock, the last couple of years have just been topsy-turvy for everybody else. Nothing has remained constant, amid the global pandemic that just swept the whole world, and has left so many things changed in terms of health, in terms of safety, in terms of the way we work. We now have what's called the new normal. Everything is just changing in front of us. But how has that affected you, and how have you actually embraced any of that change in order to actually propel you into somebody that can create a business that's profitable and enjoyable? And, I can understand that right now, amidst all of those things, marketing is just one aspect of you actually trying to stay afloat. You're probably hiring and managing new staff because most of your staff now want to work remotely. You're balancing books, driving growth because you haven't had any marked growth in the last couple of years, and you want to maintain, the business running in and of itself. So there's so much that has changed for you as a person. If you've got a family, you had time when you had actually work from home, and you actually had to teach your children, their homework and, all their school lessons and all of those things. Let me tell you something. So many business owners began thinking about maybe how their businesses would actually need to, run in order for them to support their employees or staff's health and actual safety. And not only was there change in the environment affecting you, you also had change in legislation. You had change in the way people approach the world as a whole. How did you survive? Everybody might think or expect you to just show up and do and have whatever you were before. But in this whole new normal, what are you doing, and how are you coping and, keeping your head above water? All right. Let me tell you something. That whole entire change in infrastructure and institution, new policies and procedures, while you're still finding a way to process everything that was happening, that was not an easy stage for a lot of businesses, and a lot of people quit. So if you're still running a business, even though it's not exactly at an optimum level that you want, I salute you for having withered one of the hardest times in our entire life. All right. Yes, we are now living in what they're calling the new normal, but what does this actually entail? What does this look like for your business? What does this look like for your clients? What does this look like for your future? This idea has just got me thinking about how change actually operates and functions in our lives, especially in business. For a lot of people, it's quite funny. I live in the state of Victoria, here in Australia, where the capital city is Melbourne. And I was actually surprised that a lot of people had not actually left the state ever since they were born. And I'm talking about people that are 40, 30 years old. They had never gone to maybe Sydney or never gone to Perth or Adelaide or all the other places, let alone leave the country. For me, that was a bit of a change. A shock, because I came from a totally different continent, a totally different culture, a totally different outlook in life. You see, I was born in a small town in Zimbabwe, in Africa, where for us growing up, life was pretty tough and unpredictable. So we grew up already anticipating change before change even happened. We didn't have a lot of money or stability in our economy. That actually meant, if you wake up in the morning, your life was not going to be the same. The currency that you're going to be using was not going to be the same. Funny thing about everything that happened in my life is the only stable thing that was there was the president, who was making our lives harder and harder, But my life changed when a bright-eyed Australian teacher came and started working in our school. That was a bit of a change as well, because it changed my view on, what women were capable of. It also changed my view of actually going out of your culture, out of your, bubble or cocoon or comfort zone, and actually go and work in other places where nobody knew your name or nobody knew your culture and things of that nature. I never knew things like that existed. So I learned to embrace change at an earlier age. And I'm afraid a lot of people, especially those that were brought up in the first world, change has not been something that has been subjected to them, except when they're changing their parents' car or they're changing shoes on their feet. All right. We grew up in a place where you never knew what the end of the day would look like. There was not that much stability. Whereas people around here know if you turn the faucet of water, clean hot water comes out if you put it towards the hot, side, and it's predictable. You know what I mean? You miss a train, in 5 minutes something is going to come and replace it, either a bus or yet another train. In Zimbabwe, if you miss a train, you got to wait another day, another week, or another month. So that's how some cultures are adapted to change and others are not. And that's why it's actually very, very difficult for a lot of people to accept and embrace change, and hence this podcast here, because I also, living around people like this, when I talk to, some of my clients, I'm like, wait a minute, were you thinking things were just going to stay the same? That's just the way it is. Things are never going to be the same. Even Tupac, mentioned that in his song, that's just the way it is. Yeah. Things will never be the same. Rest in peace, my man. All right. And some of the most wonderful things that happened to us based on the fact that you took an accidental turn, or it was an unexpected person that just showed up in your life, and it was an unexpected change. Half of the things that actually we talk about at the dinner table, or that we're proud about, having happened to our lives, are the things that actually changed us as a person, moved us, you know what I mean? Got us to change our horizon, got us to connect with our dreams, got us to actually focus on what we've been failing at. No one ever talks about, oh, wait a minute, I woke up in the morning and the shower opened up at exactly the same temperature that I left it yesterday, and, I didn't suffer third-degree burns. And nobody mentions things that are regular, things that are constant, things that are meant to be there, things that are not a change. We are seeking opportunities for us to be moved. We are seeking opportunities for us to actually grow as individuals. Then why do we then abhor or hate it when the change is happening in the time that it's happening? Some might not think, some might not think that whatever is happening to us is actually literally moving us to the next phase of who we're supposed to be. And some might not think so. But for me, it has proven to be true. Like I said, I had to move from Africa all the way to come here. I didn't expect to be sitting here addressing you from my home office in Melbourne. And yet it is one of the biggest changes that could have ever happened in my entire life. I never knew this could have been me. I never knew this would have been my life. I never knew I could fly across the continent and actually run a business that's profitable and I actually enjoy it. And every given day, I have an opportunity to speak to people that I haven't a chance to change their lives. I never knew this was possible, but this was because I accepted a change that happened in my life. I accepted a change that showed up in my life. When it was happening, it felt like, oh my God, I'm being moved to a place that I don't know, because when I arrived in Australia, I knew no one and it was painful. Up until I started doing modeling where, I would then connect with other people only to find out that they only connected with me at the time that we were doing stuff together. After that, it's out of sight, out of mind. I'd like to ask you something about how change has actually impacted your own life. Have you ever had something drastic that has happened in your life that has altered your perception about people, has altered your perception about work, about the place you live in, and more importantly, has altered your perception about business, all right? So many things have happened, constantly. I'm reading books. I'm learning about how other people have acted upon some sort of a drastic change that would have happened in their life and what they did after that. People have gone through World War I, World War II, Great Depressions, and now we've gone through, this great pandemic. And a lot of people are still trying to figure out, what happened? War is me. Whereas if you read quite a lot, you would understand that a lot of people actually grow and actually thrive during, market downturns. A lot of people actually, gain a lot of wealth when, the markets are down. Have you ever stopped to actually try and figure out how other people have grown through and through, even if there has been, the Great Depression or, now this whole pandemic, which has now become one of the biggest wealth transfers in the history of mankind? While we were all locked into our houses and everything else, other people were busy working. You know why? Because they created the systems and processes to siphon all that money that we were paying, online shopping. So my question now says, how has change actually impacted your own life? And more importantly, what have you done with it, especially when it comes to business? What moment of change has actually forced you to adapt or alter or maybe create new solutions that ultimately improve the instrumental in getting you where you are right now? It's been a few changes. Have you actually taken note or sat down and looked at, wow, I dodged a bullet with that one? Or maybe you would have followed a girl or a guy, and eventually if you had done that, you would have moved cities, you would have moved, states, and then eventually not been who you are right now or married to the person you are right now. Even the story of me marrying my wife, it's something that is so surreal that had I decided not to show up at that event that particular day, my life will be completely different right now. Had things not happened in the way they did, when my friend came over and said, hey, come on, let's go to this party, where I then, met this beautiful girl who I ended up dancing with, and we exchanged numbers and, continued meeting up after that. And then maybe 3 months later, we started dating. Had I not showed up at that event that particular day, I wouldn't have met my wife. I wouldn't have had these beautiful kids that I have. So it was a change that had I just decided, I'm too lazy to show up today, my life will be completely different. Now imagine how many things are happening behind the scenes that need to connect with your, consulting, your training, your information, your expertise that might not connect just because you decided not to show up on that particular day. So what moment of change actually forced you to maybe adapt or alter or maybe create something new that then turned to be instrumental to getting you to where you are? So much of the time where we are maybe resistant to change or resistant to what's coming to us, that's where a lot of power, that's where a lot of creativity comes in. That's where a lot of experiences that we then end up talking about happen. But But today I just wanted to talk about a few things to help you as a business owner to embrace the change that is coming and make you feel empowered and confident as you move through so that you can find what you are about to become. One thing that I really encourage you to do is alter your mindset. All right? Because not all change is going to be objectively positive, or you can actually see the positivity in it right now. You know what I mean? Even when during birth, when a kid is being born, the woman is in so much pain. You know what I mean? It's a change happening to both the people, the mother and the kid. All right, but what then comes out is a beautiful a specimen of what humanity is all about. So that's a change that doesn't really look appetizing and appealing when it's happening, but when you hold that kid in your hand, that's the most beautiful thing you probably can have access to. So most change actually really feels uncomfortable when it's happening. All right, most of the when you're having a haircut, it's not comfortable, but when people start commenting, hey, nice haircut. When you're sitting under that hair dryer, it's hot, it's uncomfortable, your back is hurting, and maybe the hairdresser is rough. But when people comment about the nice haircut you have, you'll be like, oh yeah, this, I just pissed it all together, or whatever you call it. Half of the time, we don't want to go through that uncomfortable stage for us to be, when the change is actually happening. Imagine when you're a butterfly, a larva of a butterfly or caterpillar that's locked up in a cocoon. It's that strenuous effort of you trying to get out of that cocoon. But then what then comes out is beautiful, wings that people will marvel for the rest of their life. Change can be very overwhelming, and it can actually cause dramatic shifts in the way that you approach your business. Maybe a long time, like I mentioned, hiring new staff or things of that nature. People during this great resignation, maybe a long-time staff member would quit, or maybe your spouse gets a new job and you have to relocate, or or you start having to deal with new things in your life just predicated on the new normal. All of these shifts can cause you to experience some major growing pains and actually force you to reevaluate the whole entire process of what you're doing. But you know what? That's okay. Embrace that change because it's leading you towards something better than what you've ever experienced. Have you ever noticed that life actually works on a growth trajectory? Nothing ever just goes down. You know what I mean? Over a long time period, you notice that everything is just gradually falling into place. Yes, because of our egos, we want things to remain the same. Yes, we want things to be what it always has been. But you're being rebirthed, you're being moved towards some sort of new trajectory that if you actually put your mind, body, and soul into it, you, my friend, will be the best thing that ever happened. Because all of these shifts can cause you to experience maybe major growing pains and actually force you to reevaluate whatever it is that you're doing. That's okay. By undergoing any change, you actually open yourself up to new opportunities that weren't there before. Reading is the most boring thing ever. You're sitting there, other people are out there drinking, having fun, whatnot. But when you now sit on a podcast like this and you just look at a topic and you look at it, it's almost 18 minutes and you're already talking about stuff and you're like, oh my God, I didn't even know I knew all of this stuff. If you undergo change, you open up yourself to new opportunities. You're put in a position to actually be creative, for you to actually carve out new paths for yourself, your team, your kids, your clients, your whole business as a whole. Doesn't that sound exciting? It does, right? When you only focus on negative aspects of that change, you cut yourself off from actually experiencing the positive ones because you are meant to be experiencing that particular change that's happening. We're meant to be going through stuff in order for us to appreciate, like the whole pandemic. It made us appreciate staying at home. It made us appreciate Zoom. It made us appreciate the people that we constantly say goodbye to while we're going out to people that don't even care about us. How many people were told that their jobs were non-essential? It made us appreciate who we are. It made us appreciate what we're actually working for. That was the change that we needed to experience. Now everybody's out and about, has forgotten what, that last couple of years has taught us. But a few people haven't forgotten. That's why we're experiencing the great resignation. But one thing a lot of people don't do is a lot of people don't walk in prepared for any change to happen, because they think that the world is going to be constant and, give the same results as they have ever had. And that's where a lot of people get hurt. There's two conflicting sides to this. On one hand, especially for me, I thrive on preparedness. I thrive on organization. I thrive on efficiency. I thrive on, doing the same things over and over, repetitive duties. And on the other end, I crave room for organic creativity, inspiration, and spontaneous. What do you call that? Being spontaneous, and just following my passion as we go. But what I do is I try and bring both those sides of myself back to work, and in everything that I do, because how you do anything is how you do everything. Even if you come to my house, you notice I've got this patch of grass outside. It's always spot on green, especially during summer. Obviously in winter the grass dries, but it's always neatly cut. It's always just perfect. You see it, it's the envy of the neighborhood. How you do everything is how you do anything. For me, it actually helps me stay on board. It actually helps me stay, overly excited about everything that I'm doing. So whether you're working for a small company, as a marketing professional, or you own your own small business as a coach or consultant, change is basically your middle name. As technology shifts, especially in digital marketing, every single day that I wake up, somebody has created an app or a tool that can actually take my job away. So how do I keep, ahead of all this technology that's happening around me? Because when technology comes in, ideas shift. Look at what happened to the taxi industry. All right, Uber came in and automatically just disseminated trucks and cars and everything else that you can think of. Now people that were just holding on to what was and didn't embrace and accept change, now they're stuck. So do we as human beings, in order to keep up to pace with what's happening in the market, what happens with our clients, because our clients' needs have changed. The way they consume information and content has changed. So in order for us to be prepared for this state of change, we also need to be designing infrastructure around us to carry us through all these new phases of business. Are we improving enough? What are we innovating within our businesses to make sure that when the change happens, we're ready for it? And what are we doing to remain constant so that we're at least that one constant thing that our clients can rely on through and through? So within your business, you want to institute processes for yourself, for your team, so that you can better equip everyone to handle when change comes. You see, there's other consultants that are called change management consultants, because some businesses can't even institute any change by themselves. So for you, that may be maybe defining a process that you communicate with your clients. Back in the time, maybe our clients wanted to be called or things of that nature, but ever since COVID, maybe people just want to receive an email. How do people want to, be contacted? Maybe that has changed. Our marketing efforts, we can't just spray and pray with marketing right now. People will only respond to marketing that speaks directly at them. So when you're prepared for a shift, you actually build flexibility into your workflows. Because if something is not flexible, it's brittle. And brittle things snap if they're not shatterproof. And half of the time, when you're always innovating and enacting change within your business, let me tell you something, you feel confident. You're not afraid to wake up and go and show up in front of your clients, because you know you have accounted for the change that needs to happen within your business. And you got to make change a part of whatever you do. Make it active within your work, your content. Show people there's life, there's a pulse behind the website that they're going through. Because change isn't something that is just done to you. Rather, it's something that you can actively pursue in order for you to grow and develop your business. What are you not doing in your business right now that could literally, change your revenue? That could literally, change the way people connect with you. That could literally change the way people react to your content. What needs to change in the way that you show up in the world? Well, let's walk through a few of the following questions, because you might be thinking, I'm not quite sure, what that entails or what that would mean in my business. Number one, what changes, big or small, are coming up for you, especially after the last couple of years? In your industry, has the market confidence gone down, or has it gone up? Has the demand gone up or gone down? What are you doing to mitigate any of those things? And how will those changes impact your staff? Are your staff being overwhelmed with the inquiries that are coming in, or are they being underwhelmed by the inquiries? Are they losing hope in the safety of their jobs? How is that impacting your staff? And how are those changes impacting your clients? Are you so inundated with work that you're no longer looking after your current clients and you're just, concentrating on the new inquiries that are coming through? Or are you actually forgetting to service your current clients so much that they feel neglected and they're looking elsewhere to get people that would actually, reciprocate their love? Things of that nature. In what ways will with these changes that have happened in the last 2 years help you grow, scale, or even move forward toward achieving your business goals? One thing that has happened to us is I've actually started really doubling down on email marketing, because I noticed that while people were at home, they were still checking emails. Nobody was following through with Google ads or things of that nature because they were not running their business at that particular time. All right, so don't be afraid of change. And one thing that I really want to let you know is no matter what we're going to be doing, whether you perceive it or not, everything is consistently changing. Like we've mentioned earlier on, the environment, the weather. Right now, everybody's talking about climate change, but what are we doing to mitigate all of those things? The economy is going to change. The technology is going to change. Society in and of itself is going to change, because look at it right now. You used to maybe talk to your neighbors, but because maybe they didn't undergo any vaccination process, you no longer talk to them. That's how society has changed in the last couple of years. Culture has changed. Your friends have changed. I've lost a few friends during this pandemic. That's also another change that a lot of people are not addressing, because sometimes when things were hard in your business, you would have friends that you would rely on. But now you can no longer rely on those people, even some of the family members. Maybe your body has changed. You're growing a little bit older, or I don't know, you're experiencing some sort of reactions to whatever procedures that have happened recently. Everything is constantly changing, and the better you're able to actually embrace this change in what's happening in your world, the easier it will be for you to actually live your best life. Because we're here to live, we're here to learn, and we're here to contribute. And if you're not changing, and if you're not growing, you're dying. So you want to just stay calm, because change is going to be difficult no matter what, and it's going to happen whether you want it or not. You could stay holding on to a rope that is falling, or you could actually use that rope to climb out of, the ditch that you're falling into. Change is always going to be difficult. But by remaining calm, knowing what to anticipate, and asking yourself the right questions and always innovating, you'll be better able to come up with a plan for you to actually navigate through it. And when you're calm and you can handle the situation with care and grace, people will more likely to follow suit. The people that are around you, your family, your friends, your staff members, your employees, everybody else that needs to embrace that change around you, which makes your life a little bit easier. Change will never stop being hard. You know what I mean? If you want to go, every level has its own devils. If you are playing a video game, sometimes when you go up different levels, things become faster and they're coming at you at tremendous speed. You just got to learn to duck. But if you alter your approach, if you look at it in a way that, okay, this is going to happen no matter my involvement or not, I might as well go with it, then you would actually maybe help shape the outcome of that change that is about to happen. So my question to you is, are you ready to apply some active change to your marketing right now? Take some time to talk to us at Live Long Digital and see what it is that we can actually do for you. Because as a coach, consultant, or small to medium business, I can understand that your ultimate goal is to help your clients. You don't want to tinker around with all this, online marketing. Leave that to people that have already taken the time to adapt with the algorithm changes in the social media cycles and aspects and all those things. You just want to be out there solving people's problems and changing people's lives. All right? So I can't wait to see what you do with this information today. Bye for now.
Thank you for joining us today. If you have any questions, let's continue the conversation in the Live Long Digital community. Become a Live Long Digital community member today. This community is for ambitious entrepreneurs and small business owners with the drive to take control of the future of their businesses and achieve huge success without stress and overwhelm. As you heard, Prosper can help you by teaching you marketing strategies that work. So look no further than the Live Long Digital community of entrepreneurs and highly successful business owners. Join our community today. Find us on www.community.livelongdigital.com.au. Network with other driven entrepreneurs and find the expert guidance you need to take your business to the next level. www.community.livelongdigital.com.au